Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wartscenter. So this is the show we're creating to discuss our local Blood Bowl league and give you more insight as to everything that's going on with it, with games in between. So that way you see the game and you want to know what's happening to your favorite team, you can come here and you'll see that. So we're in season 4 of the NKBBL, and I'm joined by two fellow coaches as well. If you guys want to say hi.
Hello.
I don't want to dox y'all, but you can introduce yourself however you like. We'll get to talk about your teams here in a moment, so we'll go there. But we've got the coach of the Casa Doom Dark Iron and the coach of the Los Alamos Aliens with us today. You may see some different coaches pop in and out as we go in throughout the week, but anyway, this is the beginning of the season, so we'll talk a little bit about the format. So we have 14 teams in our league, so quite a big league. So we've split that up into 2 divisions of 7 teams. This will pan out to be a 9-week season where every team plays all other 6 players in their division, and then they'll play 3 friendly games. This will all culminate in an 8-team playoff, with the winner taking home the Northern Kingdom's Cup and a fancy little championship ring. So there's high stakes here. You could be like this guy, or this guy, or maybe even this guy, our fearless commissioner.
I like how the faces are all somewhat similar.
Yeah, we're there's a theme.
Face of happiness and exacerbation.
Yeah, there's a theme here.
you got. Well, they also you forgot to mention they become an emoji on our Discord server.
Yes, this does become an emoji on the Discord server, so it's
the
fun
faces
stuff.
are intentional.
But yeah, you can see in the photo the Northern Kingdom's Cup crafted by myself. There's plaques on it. You get a plaque on there every year, so cool stuff to play for over here in the Northern Kingdoms. But let's talk about these 14 teams. So we've got 2 divisions. Anytime we've ever had 2 divisions, we've always had a blood division and a bowl division, because we lack creativity. So here's a quick glance at some teams and some logos, and then we'll go on to break down the teams individually. So these are going to be ranked based on past player Doki Boomer's power rankings. So we'll get to talk about power rankings as well as we go through. So we'll start with the Lizzes with Attitude. So this is a Lizardman team, redrafted from last year. So you'll see there's some skills there. They are projected to come in dead last. So not a lot of love for the Lizzes. What do you guys think?
May I go first? Because I have an opinion.
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. So I know this is contributing based on past performance, and this is their coach's last season was their coach's first time playing.
Correct.
Now, I think by the end of last season, they started picking up a bit. They started getting the hang of their team, because there's always a growing pain when you first start playing Blood Bowl. And even in our little Summer Sevens tournament that we do, he came in second. He's gotten better as a coach. I think I love Boomer. I think he's wrong. But I will say this. I think a Lizardman team with 3 block sources to start, and a skilled up, sure feet. I mean, I used to play Lizards in season 1. I think the Skinks, just with random agilities, is pretty strong. You can also go with block and everything, but a Surefoot Skink is kind of scary to think about. So I think they'll be higher than this.
Yeah, I mean, for sure has definitely a greater potential to be a rank than last place. Anybody could place anywhere at any point in this season for all I'm standing in point, but definitely coming off of the fact that this is taking into effect this is his now 2nd season, and he has learned significantly better, and I felt he has also gotten better very consistently. And rolling in with, like you said, 3 Saurus blockers is gonna help a lot. That's gonna.
Oh yeah, I can agree for sure. I mean, we've got a situation where the coaches it has improved. And I mean, the roster is stacked now. Lizardmen typically have a pretty rough startup cost because sources are expensive. Even skinks are, higher cost than most linemen. So to have 6 Saurus, let alone 3 with block, but 6 Saurus, a Crocs, and skinks off the rip, that's good eating.
Yeah, still with 2 rerolls too.
Yeah,
2 rerolls.
so
it's.
I think he'll overachieve on this, and we'll see this power ranking change week after week, and I look forward to seeing this one pop up. But all right, so let's move on. Number 13, the Manhattan Mutant Mayhem. This is a Chaos Chosen team. This is a coach that has been with us since the very beginning. Had some ups and downs over the course of his career with us, but now he's coming in with a strong tier 2 team, ready to gore somebody with a bunch of horns.
I think he definitely has a potential again to really be higher rank and move up the ranking ladder as he continues on. It's a fresh team, so he doesn't have to worry about too much TV bloat, and he has all potential to build up to. With 3 rerolls right out the gate as well, he can do a lot of things with this team and make them into whatever he wants. And I mean, I know he's been struggling over the past couple of seasons and had some rough games here and there, but I think this team should develop well for him, and I think he has a good chance for a good season for sure.
I'd agree. Yeah. I was gonna say, I kind of just flat out ignore last season for him.
He did play halflings for context.
He played a tier 3 halflings. Yeah,
he played halflings and scored no touchdowns all season. He should. The only reason I didn't vote for him for coach of the year was because one of our newer coaches just did so well getting in. But he definitely his attitude's always been great. I think I always compare this potential to his second season with the Naboo Bombads, which is another fun thematic team. This coach loves his thematic teams. And just slightly under 500. And some of the bigger wins that I'm looking at from that season for them was they beat a newer coach, which there's a lot of newer coaches this season. And they beat redrafted teams. So, and another note was they actually crippled one of the star players for one of the other teams this season that we'll get to.
Yep.
And they I think minimum they have upset potential. I think the biggest thing for this team is going to be ball security and ball handling, as is every Chaos team. But I think if they can do that, and especially with 3 rerolls, they have the potential.
Yep. I mean, and the roster is standard. 4 blockers, 7 beastmen, and 3 rerolls. Like, that's a strong start. That's typically what you see from Chaos. So he's definitely starting on the right foot as far as roster build. So
and once that Minotaur's out, it's just going to be even more terrifying.
Right.
Yeah, I was talking with him about that.
This one's consistent,
and this is going to be exciting to watch. I think for him, I know we haven't mentioned the sponsors that we're doing this season, but I think by his 3rd or 4th game, he should definitely have that Minotaur, barring any major setback, and that's when this team's going to be extra scary for a lot of the opponents.
Which, I mean, we can talk about sponsors. I should have included it earlier, but yeah, our league does something slightly different. So we allow sponsors, but not like you would see in the Death Zone. We tried that one year. It was a little swingy. Now this year, sponsors are like achievements. So you get a choice of 3 cards when you walk in the door, and you pick one, and that's your achievement you're trying to accomplish, whether it be get 2 casualties, surf somebody, score so many touchdowns, things like that. And then the reward is just a flat 5,000 gold. So a little bit extra cash, and something to play for if you're down. So.
And I think somebody's brought up before, is particularly with this coach, is regardless of any type of time I've been playing him with any team he's been playing, is consistently he is one of the funnest and best coaches to just play against, whether you're winning or losing against him. Just because He makes the game
a great
fun. He's a great time. He is one of, I think, consistently are pretty much unanimously considered one of the funnest coaches in the entire league to play against. So,
you'll hear him on the stream.
He'll hear him on the stream. He will be on the show at some point, I'm sure. He just wasn't able to make it tonight. So, but yeah, so we'll move right along. Next we have the Ciudad El Gigante Troll Luchadors. Very fun and mouthful of a team name. So this is the first of, you're going to see 2 teams that dip into the Secret League. This is the first of those. We're seeing a troll team for the first time. So for those of you unfamiliar, you get it's essentially an ogre team, but rip out the ogres and give you 3 different variants of troll. This is an interesting team, interesting roster. You also, not mentioned on here, you do have the capability to take goblins. They are the linemen of the team, but it looks like this coach has opted for 6 trolls, 6 snotlings. So maximum big guy.
And I got to see this team play a practice match firsthand, and when they go off hard, like any true giant big guy team will do. It's like if they go off, they are absolutely decimating anything they come across when it comes to Kaz wise. They, by the end of the game, I think the opponent coach had maybe 4 players left on the pitch at best. It was a rough go, but you also have the downside of a whole lot of really stupid rolls you have to make, and just a whole lot of chaotic things that could possibly go wrong that just can upset the balance of the game entirely. So
since I have to face this team week 1, and
this is your matchup.
I'm not exactly thrilled, because the way I'm looking at it is they're slow, very slow. So
very slow.
On paper, winning should just be a matter of just walking, getting past them and outpacing them. The problem is, like you said, they start rolling, they start pitch clearing. It's not going to matter.
Yeah. That's a lot of mighty blow.
It's a lot of mighty blow. The way I'm looking at it is, at least this isn't 6 boneheads, it's 6 really stupids. So the name of the game is just peeling off the snotlings or the lineman goblins, whoever. The question is, will there be an opening, and are you going to get dogpiled? Because I could very easily see a failed push here or there, getting swarmed, and then getting fouled, and then going downhill very quickly. I think it'll be a fun team to play against. I think it's going to be rough. And I think they have, just like any team can win. I think they have some major upset potential just with the sheer firepower of 6 trolls.
And the variants of trolls is interesting too. Like the stone troll, you literally get an armor 11 troll. So good luck getting rid of that. Let's throw on, he has Ironheart skin. Good luck getting rid of that.
I think the river troll is going to be low key really good, because
disturbing present foul appearance is nasty.
It's like a quasi Nurgle team with that. So defensively, this is going to be a very interesting team to match up against.
Yeah, I mean, I look forward to seeing how this one pans out. This has the ability to be the swingiest team, I think, on the docket.
I would say so. So tier 3. So tier 3 teams inherently just have a lot of swing potential.
Tons of potential, but also a lot of risk.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on through. Oh, look, at rank number 11, the Luchadors' opponent, the Los Alamos Aliens. Now, this is a Chaos Renegade team that is redrafted from last year, so there's a few familiar faces from the year prior. I mean, since you're the coach of this team, you want to take it away?
I mean, I'm biased. I think I should be ranked higher.
Be biased. Let's do it.
That's besides the point. I think it's fair in the sense that I broke about 500 last season, and I talked with the commissioner about this. This team, I don't even know what I'm getting half the time. It's with the big guys, it's very swingy, but I had games where I nearly lost to the halflings, and then I had games where I beat the playoff teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's Blood Bowl. There's a lot of stuff to look at going into this season, but I'm excited to play, and I think with the expanded playoffs, I have a chance to be the first tier 2 team to win the championship.
Okay.
But we'll see.
All right. I like it.
I agree with you that this team also, just from its naturally chaotic nature, is also a very potentially very swingy team. And I agree with you also that I don't think you would be I wouldn't personally rank you at rank 11, but I think it's probably just from previous seasons have just knocked you down, but I think you will very quickly rise back up to probably in the top half of the ranking board very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I fully expect this to change.
Yeah.
But we know
shout out to Zod.
Boomer's got crazy opinions, so
Yeah.
we let him slap the number on there, and then we'll see how it goes. Yeah, let's. Zod, yeah, go for it.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say, I'm excited. I'm hoping I can break some records with big guys when it comes to casualties. I know last season Ymir kind of set the standard. I think if Zod didn't get Mr. Murder, I think Ymir would have easily won it.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're both equally worth getting it. So I'm looking forward to attempting to break the records. I wanna at least, if I'm not in the championship, I wanna put my name on that record board.
All right. So yeah, everybody needs to watch out for that Minotaur.
Oh yeah, the Minotaur is fucking.
I play both of you, by the way, with your armor 10.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Claws will be useful there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So and brand new logo for the aliens. They got a little logo. They got a little graphic design refresh this year. I'm very happy with it.
It looks sick.
All right. Next at rank 10, we've got the Amazonian Snoo logo pending, so they get the Washington Commanders treatment. So this is the first of 2 Amazon teams that are going to be featured in our league this season. Both, if I remember right, both Amazon teams are built the exact same way. It seems there is one standard for Amazon team, 1000 TV builds, and it's 1 thrower, 2 blocker, 2 blitzer, lineman all the way down, 3 reroll.
Yeah, I think the only difference is, I don't know if it's listed here. I think it's dedicated fans.
Oh, okay, yeah, like 4, because they're probably starting, I would assume, 5 dedicated fans.
Yeah, the Snooze are starting 5. The other one is starting 4. So they banked 10 treasury,
keeping
probably for another reroll.
Okay.
Yeah, keeping some cash.
Makes sense. Yeah, so this is a coach that's been with us partially through season 2. Took a little bit of time off and is coming back with originally playing Wood Elves and now playing Amazon. So probably a similar play style, I would imagine, just a little less confident in those dodges with the Amazon team, but I'm looking forward to it. We've not seen the new Amazon roster played yet. So strength 4, defensive dodge, like these blockers are completely new. And they have an interesting bit of kit. And then the hit and run on the blitzers is interesting too. You get technically like an extra bit of movement out of them. So I think that can be used to pretty good effect from either of the Amazon coaches. So yeah, they're at rank 10. We don't have a lot of data on the coach, so they kind of got stuck somewhere in the middle. They played a few games, didn't go super well, so that's trending them down a bit. But looking forward to seeing what happens with this team going forward.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. Next, we've got the the South Central Louisiana State University Mud Claws. Go Claws. This is a brand new coach, brand new team. This is also a Lizardman team. However, not as kitted out as the Liz's with attitude. We've got Mama the Croxagore. He decided to go straight for the Crocs, sacrifice some sources. So 1 Crocs, 4 Sorai, and then quite a few skinks, and then one chameleon skink as well. So, yeah, what do you think about this one? It's a more aggressive approach, I would say, in terms of roster build. Typically, you would see as many sources as possible in the Croc score for later, but I kind of like taking the big girl straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, yeah, it's very much going heavy on heavy artillery as much as possible. I know he is very much looking forward to getting those sources ASAP, but the coach explicitly said that his goal is to just do as much damage and wreak havoc to the other teams, and then scoring if the ball happens to land near him is his play plan for this game.
Hey, I love to hear it.
Yeah.
I think this loadout's the way to do it, if that's the case. Crocs and 4, it's very swingy. You hope that none of the sources go down early, because you might not see all 6 sources by the end of the season at that rate. But the Croc score, I think, is easily top 3 big guy in the game.
Yeah, I mean, he's relatively low risk with only Bonehead. He's fast as hell. I can't tell you the amount of times I thought I was fine, and just to have a Croc score just come running up on me. Yeah.
And prehensile tail.
Prehensile tail's amazing. You mark up a ball carrier. It's really makes your opponent think of what to do with it next. Yeah, and then the extra I was counting, he's got the extra skink as well. So the combat route may work for him, because he'll have a few extra skinks hopefully by the second half. So it's nice that you drop the sources, you can actually squeeze in an extra a little bit of a bench, which I didn't know, because I've always done the 6 source when I've played. So
the one other thing, having the chameleon, I am for the chameleon. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. I think having that, especially with on the ball, having that option of just essentially getting the kickoff and then setting up a drive relatively quickly, the less you have to roll, the better. I know it's a 4+, but still, I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to have an option. I mean, he's the only passing 3+ that you can get on the team. And like, passing's not huge, it's not something you should rely on, but in a pinch, I mean, a 3+ to possibly win the game is way better than a 4+. So yeah, and on the ball, make sure you can get the ball and cover it from pretty much anywhere right off the rip. So, and interception potential. But yeah, this is a brand new coach. We don't have any data on yet. So right now he's sitting at 9. I expect that to change. Next up, we have an original coach, the season 1 champion, coming back with a brand new team, the Butcher's Bay Dragons. So this is a dark elf team, 1 of 2. And you'll see there's actually 2, unlike the Amazon team with this dark elves, there's actually 2 different builds, 2 different styles and approaches to it, which is, I think, really interesting. So this roster is going with 6 linemen, only 2 of the 4 possible blitzers, but using that extra cash to get 2 witch elves and the assassin. So what do you guys think about this team?
I also think this one's criminally low ranked.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they're season 1 champ. Like,
I'll say they did the 1 reroll build last season for their previous team, and it worked out for them just fine. But besides missing playoffs, but the double witch elf to start, that's nasty.
Yeah. Dodge, jump up, frenzy. That's a good player.
Yeah. Very much. You still got a blend of block and dodge pieces rather than going super heavy into the block. So that way, at least if a dodge player is more advantageous in the moment, then you have those as options. Yeah, it's and then the assassin piece just for taking out any low armor team you're going to come across. Who needs block dodge? Oh, great. All your skins got block dodge. Great. I'm going to stab your armor 7 piece. It's gone.
Yep. Stab can be a menace.
Yeah.
I fully expect that assassin to do some work.
Yep.
Yeah, that assassin's going to be doing a lot of stabbing.
So a lot of eyes on Lucy Hunts this season. Yeah, no, I think Boomer, man, he loves the history, right? So he's looking back, and that's how he's setting his ranks, right? He's looking at the coach, he's looking at the team, to rank these. Although season 1 champ, absolutely amazing player, amazing coach. The records have been up and down, so I think that's why he lands where he lands. But he's played tier 3 half of the seasons that we've had, so that is something that should, I think, be taken into consideration. And then like last season with the Lizardmen, it was hard to build up. Like I said previously, Lizardmen can have a rough start. So yeah, I expect this one to go up. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. So next up, we have the first of 2 Skaven teams. There's a lot of doubles this year. There's a lot of
more doubles this season than any other season.
We normally have a pretty good spread. But anyway, so this is the Vermin Skulkers. This is a coach that is coming to us for the very first time, with a brand new team, brand new Skaven team, and quite an interesting build. So we've got 3 gutter runners, a thrower, 2 blitzers, and then linemen all the way down, 2 rerolls. Contrary to our other Skaven team, which is a redraft, so it's a little different, but no Rat Ogre for the start of this roster. What do you guys think?
I like the moxie of this, because we're so used to seeing the Roger build.
Right.
But this is going to be balls to the walls, scoring, rats. They're going to be frail. That we have a lot of teams with armor 8, but the Skaven thrower and the gutter runner are 2 of the best positionals, two of some of the best positionals in the game. And I fully expect this team, even if you take out half their players, they're still going to try and light up the scoreboard. And honestly, that's what you need to win. So I think this rank is actually fair. Within the top half, we have to see them play, of course.
Right.
But Skaven are good. As long as you can keep them on the board, they're hard to beat.
I think this build could be very, very, very dangerous for like both the opponent coach and this coach himself, just because lack of any true fighting potential or little to no advantageous blocks available. And to be fair, it's like looking at this, I would say he's going to not be in there for the fight. He's going to be backing away, and he's going to be running around people. He doesn't want to be anywhere near the other opponent's players, and he's just going to run past them, throw past them, and score. Like, I'm sure Rat Ogre will be on his docket eventually, just because, I mean,
oh, for sure.
He may find I'm sure he will eventually find, like, you know what, a big guy sounds pretty nice. That would be very beneficial for the line, and it is. But I can tell, and I like this, that it is very much, I'm going to run at the aspect of the game of I'm going to try to just win the game.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. I kind of like it because it gives the blitzers a chance to shine as your power pieces. Let them throw some blocks, let them get some SPP, which the Rat Ogre in this team traditionally, at least the way I've always seen it played, he's your anvil, right? He creates the hole. He's the one making most of the hits and the blitzes, and then opening the lane for those gutter runners. So I think the blitzers may have a pretty as far as like the stat sheet at end of week 1, I think the one gutter runner is going to pop off. But I think one of these blitzers is also going to have himself a day with a couple casualties. So, but we'll have to see. All right. now we're into number 6, the New England Matriarchs. This is our other Amazon team. Same build, blocker, blitzers, thrower, and then lineman with 2 rerolls. So this coach has been with us since season 1. Had to step out a little bit towards the end of season 3, but he's back and he's ready to tear it up. Yeah, I mean, we've already talked Amazons, so I don't know how much more we really have to say from a roster perspective. But from a coach perspective, yeah, sure, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think this one's gonna be the one to watch. I think this ranking is also fair. The way I see it, this coach is probably the pass happiest coach in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I think this team is one to watch when it comes to this thrower. And I fully expect them to either skill up these blitzers or skill up these blockers to be MVP caliber players.
Mm-hmm.
This coach had Frankus, the messenger, who was probably the most decorated SPP for a while season,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And I mean, I could
still top 3.
Yeah, still top 3. One season, top 3 still, compared to 2 redrafted superstars, which we'll probably talk about that later on. But I think either of these blockers turning into like a Derrick Henry style power back. I mean,
yeah,
it's going to be fun to watch. I'm glad I'm not in their division, except I still get to play them. So, we'll see.
Yep. I mean, yeah. As far as the coach, he's was a playoff contender with the Bretonian team, and then had a bit of a rough season last season with Corn. Which, I mean, Corn gets that way. All that frenzy, it tends to swing where you start to run out of players after a while. But yeah, I mean, like in Ohada, like I don't know if they've been picked up in fantasy football, which is another thing we do. But that would be one to watch for like prime throwers. Yeah, I mean, and the ability to give it to a strength 4 piece on a 3+ is nasty. Yeah, I think these blockers may serve slightly different purpose than what their position says.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, we'll move on. Now we're at rank number 5. This one is probably the most shocking to me. So this is our second Dark Elf team. Now you'll see this one is a little bit different. So we've gone 4 blitzers instead of just 2. Then linemen, and then instead of using the assassin or witch elf, opted for the runner. So personally, I think I like this roster a little better. You get another reroll. And the extra blitzers, these guys are all-stars. Like, they're great. An elf team with 4 block pieces is amazing. And you can't really get it anywhere except for on Dark Elf. And then another team we'll talk about here in a little bit. The runner I like with dump off. It's dump off's a kind of a whatever skill, but it has some use, especially when everything's edge 2. It becomes, I think, a little more valuable than you would initially think. But yeah, what do you guys think?
I think that this is much more of a straightforward from my assessment of it, and having no experience with the Dark Elves exclusively, but this just looks like a much more straightforward, consistent team, but just lacks some of the unique utility tools of the other team. It's like much more straightforward and is going to be much more consistent about how they probably play, and like much more one major aspect that they can play into excessively well, because they don't have the necessary like unique pieces that the other team does.
Just missing some flexibility for sure.
Yeah, the lack of flexibility, but still, both teams are going to be. I mean, they're elf teams. Both teams are going to play like elf teams. So it's just one's a little more on the safer side, I would say, with this build. The other side has more flexibility with slightly riskier options taken, especially with the 2 reroll for this team and the singular reroll for the other one. So
yeah,
I like the flexibility for the development path on this team because it's kind of a safe start.
Yeah.
Any of those blitzers can develop into a star. You have 2 rerolls, so you don't have to worry about saving up for that second reroll. You can buy a witch elf or an assassin as you see fit. And honestly, yeah, the runner's kind of the dump off's not the best skill, but passing 3+, agility 2+, I could see them really stretching the field by having them handle the ball, do a short pass to someone, and then they can run over and hand it off, and then they can score. They could go across the field quickly. This will be fun to watch. It's a new coach, so we'll see how they do. But I think what this team looks like in a couple weeks will really determine how far they go.
Yep. A lot to lose with that rank, but with a new coach and a new team, there's a lot of question marks. But yeah, I'm interested to see how it pans out. All right, now we're in our top 4. So these are all going to be familiar faces from here on out as we're hitting the cream of the crop. We typically in the past have only had 14 playoffs. So this was the old kind of cutoff for who got to dance in the postseason. But we'll start with Ubtal's Chosen Grung. This is a SLAN team. So we allow, as you see in Secret League, and we also allow SLAN. So this is a redrafted team from a coach whose first season was last year. Won Coach of the Year for an outstanding performance from the get-go. And yeah, I mean, we've got some returning pieces. He decided to redraft. We're up at 1220, the highest TV team so far to start the season. But a lot of interesting stuff on here. So he's got the Crocs, 2 blitzers, a little bit of a different way of playing than he did last year. He's going for 4 catchers now. I don't know if he ever got fully 4 until maybe really late last season. So we're going full edge this year, it appears. And then, linemen all the way down with your standard 3 rerolls.
Yeah. This is going to be a team that is going to be very annoying for anybody to try to deal with, just from the sheer amount of disengagement and just hopping over any danger that they come across, especially those catcher pieces. With it's just and a whole lot of dodge, whole lot of block. He is going to be troublesome for a lot of people to deal with, but I think, again, anybody can beat anybody, and I think if people have some advantageous positions on him, get some good blocks, then anything could stop this team. But you're gonna have to catch these slimy bastards first.
Yep. So this is also a coach that made postseason last year too, and took his loss again to the eventual champion of season 3. So well done with a team he's piloted already. I think the rank is right. I could see it even going up as the season progresses. But yeah, he's got a great start. Timothy and Titsa, these guys are already well equipped, block dodge pro. So I mean, yeah, I see a lot more SPP in these two's future.
Yeah.
I will say for this team, the TV aspect might be a pain point to start the season, just because they're playing against the Matriarchs and the Dragonaires.
So yeah, they'll be seeing a lot of inducement then.
They're going to see a lot of inducements. All the redrafted teams will, but especially with them being the highest redrafted team.
Yep.
And a lot of that's going into the 2 brothers. Now, granted, they're superstars. They're great. I was telling people to draft them for fantasy football. I think if either of them go down, this is true for any team, but if either of them go down, the offensive capabilities kind of slows down a bit. But I think this rank is fair. I think they still have room to grow. But yeah, the keeping, because they finished their regular season at 500 and made playoffs.
Yep.
So I'm curious to see how they do in a second season. But it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I think another postseason run is in the future.
I would say so. Yeah.
All right. Number 3. Familiar face. The Kaza Doom Dark Iron. So this is a dwarf team. That yeah, okay. That was initially played in season 2, made it to the finals, but fell just shy. So the coach of that team is obviously here with us. What do you got to say?
I just hope to see if the boys can push me back into the championships again this year. I mean, it's they were consistent and they were solid last season, or this last season I played them in season 2, and I think they'll be solid again this season.
Yeah, I mean the roster's stacked from the get. 5 guard dwarves, 1 mighty blow, only at 1090 TV, like well on his way. Well on your way to having a great team. So all the actual positionals are fresh, but all of the linemen are redraft.
Six guard.
2, 3,
even
4,
better.
5. 6 guard.
Or no, I can't do that.
5 guard. Yeah,
I'm tired.
Yeah,
hey, I will say this. Actually, I can't count. All right, but for real though, on paper, this is like the closest thing you can have to a lock for playoffs. Now, granted, I don't want to jinx anyone. Like you said, anyone can win, anyone can lose. But you are in a division with 2 Amazon teams. You have tackle, block, and mighty blow. Like, I think as long as you just stick to the fundamentals, you'll be pretty good. With 4 chances to make playoffs, I like in per division, I think it's pretty good. Just with dwarves, there's not too much more to develop. So at this point, it's just gravy. So I'm curious to see what this team looks like by week 5. But right now, it's already like championship eligible with the stats they have.
And I mean, what first campaign was 8-2, right?
Something like that.
8-2 regular season. Or no, 8-1-1. Sorry,
8-1-1. Yeah.
8-1-1.
Won the
championship.
Yeah, because won the Coil Cup. Yeah. Which for those of you that don't know, the Coil Cup is our regular season trophy for the best record.
Was it draw versus me, week 1?
I believe so.
Was it?
Because I think because I remember you tied it up by the end. I think because you beat me in the second.
Yeah, you were the week 1 match against you was the only tie I had, and then everything after that was a win until the championship. Yeah, you're right.
Yep. Well, I snuck one by on week 10. That was your your one loss. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The regular season. Yes.
Yeah. But all right. I mean, dwarves are dwarves. They're gonna dwarf. they're gonna block. And they're gonna hurt. So. Not looking forward to that one. Their opponent week 1 is coming in at rank number 2. Now this is my team. And this is the second of our dip into the secret league. So this is a tree elf team, which is actually just the sea elf team, but reskinned to fit my needs. So yeah, this is the tree elves. For those of you that aren't familiar, is an elf team where the concept is let's crank the armor up, but bring the movement down. So what I have is essentially a bunch of really slow edge pieces. So I think the only other positional that I have available to me is a second thrower. So I think the roster feels good. The ability to have 4 blockers like Dark Elves is really, really nice. And then the Sea Elf or the Tree Elf blockers, they get block and grab. So a little bit of like a repositioning game, I think, is going to happen as opposed to the straight blitz that is a normal elf team. So
this is very much radiating similar and like combat style to the Dark Elves, but just such high armor that you can very comfortably most likely sustain the battle of attrition with even some of the heaviest swinging teams, that if they even do get a chance to hit you, you probably will be okay. So
that's the plan.
Very much like going to be a very team, like the lack of speed for an elf team is going to be very unique for a lot of people. This is going to feel like going against a blend of elf and dwarf, basically, is what I'm feeling this is going to be. Just like, what if we gave dwarfs like reduced combat potential, but increase their ball handling to elf levels?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, because similar to most elves, the skill access, I have no strength access on the team, so it's not like I can just load this up with block and or with guard mighty blow and play that same style. I have to play a different style, so it'll be interesting. I think this rank may change for the negative, depending on how well I handle and pilot this team. Just because it is something I'm still yet to wrap my head around what my strategy even is. But we'll see.
I was gonna say I'm looking forward to seeing how the catchers play. That sprint makes them kind of a sneaky, because the 2+ isn't really that bad unless you're trying to score to win the game. Then you're gonna fail it.
You're absolutely gonna fail it, and that'll probably be how I lose the game.
When it's not necessary, you'll pull it out no problem. But when it's crucial, here come the double ones. Here we go.
Yeah,
one after one.
But that's essentially a speed 9 if you roll well enough. And honestly, for a team like this, like you said with the repositioning, you just make one good hole, you get about a third of the way up the field, you're pretty much guaranteed to score. I'm curious how this will play. It's going to be interesting.
Yep. And then whoever drafted Gnarled Barkley, I think he's going to be a great thrower this year.
Oh yeah. Plus. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, because I with the lack of speed, I think I'm gonna have to run a true, like, more drop back NFL style offense.
That's like a slower Skaven thrower.
It's gonna run through Gnarled Barkley, and it's gonna end up with Forrest Stump and Tree Huggins. Like, that's just the way it's gonna go. So I don't know. I'm excited. Yeah, yeah, and then all of the models for this team are from like Sylvaneth, and I just kit bashed them. If anyone knows anything about Age of Sigmar,
they are beautiful.
You'll see them on stream. I would like at some point too for this, like, if we get like rotating, I have a little rotating like Lazy Susan thing, and we can get like a photo or a short video of all the teams to accompany this information. So I think that'd be cool at some point. Once everybody gets everything painted up, we'll do it. So
I mean, yeah, if you want to borrow my team for a little photo shoot, you can do that.
We could do something. But anyway, without further ado, let's talk about the rank 1 team, the Underheim Mighty Rats. The defending champions, so no surprise to see them at rank 1 here. This is a 3rd year redraft, so this is the 3rd season for the Mighty Rats. They went to the playoffs and lost in the first round in season 2. They won the whole thing in season 3, and now they're back to defend their title. So a few things with this: they are starting Rat Ogre, which is a normal for this coach, if I remember correctly. Both blitzers, only 2 gutter runners, the thrower, and then lineman all the way down. Some returning players for the Mighty Rats. We've got Cool Cindertail. I believe he's been here since the very beginning, and acquired block and sidestep, so that's already a great runner. And then I think Rat Chungus is also starting a season 1 player or season 2 player.
I believe so. Blitzers, yes.
But starting with I think every redraft has been redrafted from the season 2. So they paid that 40K extra, maybe not Stank, but I'm looking at
the actual roster on our little team sheet.
Yeah.
So the actual 2 3rd season players are Cole Cindertail and Stink Dustbuster.
Oh, Stank. So alignment survived that long. And then that value is wrong, but the TV here is right. I was getting a little tired towards the end of these. Apparently.
It's hard when it's late at night, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, but that's a 90K lineman, I believe. Those are both chosen skills, the kick and block. So yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say. It's a fucking juiced up Skaven team with a coach who's always been in the postseason and got his own championship ring. So it speaks for itself.
I will say the Blitzers are a good yin yang of how to handle like a situation. Just watching them play, it's fun because you got that block tackle for like removal, but then you have that block guard and the mighty blow to like get that assist in. So it's like a 1-2 punch.
Yep. Yeah,
seeing them backs, that's gonna be fun.
They should play well together. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, that's the teams. Unless anybody has anything else, we'll go into the week 1 power rankings. So this is a greater look at the power rankings from all of our analyst team. You've heard Doki Boomer a few times. He is a Queen City King from a Human Team Season 1. He was the thrower, and now he's changed his role to be lead analyst for us. Our second analyst is Aggie Winkins from the Nabu Bombads. So he's a guy who loves the players. So he's looking at the teams more closely, and he's setting those power rankings based on that. And then last, Lucifer and Pickles, the Minotaur, both from the Helheim Rams of Season 2. They are very interested in the teams and the coaches' previous results, and that's how they gather their power rankings. So just a quick glance, there's some changes, not anything massive. I think the only thing that really stands out to me that I'd like to talk about is the Manhattan Mayhem down here.
With the 3rd place.
Let's say Aggie loves his coach. He thinks that his coach is the absolute best. And he said his coach is 3rd best.
Hey.
Maybe he is.
Hey,
yeah.
Maybe Aggie knows something we don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, any insights from you guys? I think the only other thing is we've got a competition for first here. Mostly undisputed Undheim, but there is one bid for Black Forest. Cause of Doom, either 2 or 3. Everyone agrees Uptal's 4. Yeah, and then some variants as we get into the new coaches as the middle of the pack. Although Lucifer and Pickles, they have a little bit of a better opinion of you.
I appreciate that. I still think the Dragons are way too low.
But yeah, they still have you out as, I mean, all of these show you out as playoffs. So I mean, if you look at the playoff picture, it's like a lock, right? And then maybe for the Vermin Skulkers, maybe they slip out. But then yeah, the Dragons just being barely sneaking in at 8. I don't know if I agree with that one, but hey, I mean, we'll see. These rankings are going to change after every week of games that are played. These analysts are going to be hard at work updating their power rankings, and we'll go over them every week. So I don't know anything else from you guys about the power rankings.
No, I think it's
good.
It's just an interesting thing to see the rankings put out, and I think it'll be interesting to see as the season goes on and develops. I think it's going to be interesting to see all the shifts up and down.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. Put a lot of work into getting these out for us, so all the algorithms. Anyway, the other bit of data we have, since we have power rankings, we also were able to develop a strength of schedule for the season. So when we look at all of the teams and who they play all season, we throw that over to Mundy, which is a former Uptal's Chosen Grung player turned analyst. He chews on the data and he spit this out for us. So we'll just go through them. The hardest schedule seems to be the Manhattan Mutant Mayhem. So maybe an indication of their projected poor performance. They go against the best coaches pretty consistently and pretty constantly. Then Uptow, Elizabeth with Attitude, has got a pretty rough run. You've got a pretty rough run there with the Aliens, fourth hardest schedule. The Skulkers down at 5. The Dark Iron, pretty difficult schedule on the other side of the midline, but about middling. The Luchadors have a bit of a hill to climb, but they're sitting dead smack in the middle, followed by the Dragonaires, the Mudclaws, the Guardians. So I've got a relatively easy schedule compared to Monday's metrics. Followed by the Matriarchs. Then the Mighty Rats look to have a pretty good schedule going into their defendant title. Snooze coming away with a pretty easy schedule, and then the easiest schedule looks to be the Butcher's Bay Dragons. So that combined with their projected power ranking, I definitely see the Dragons as the dark horse riding its way up to the front.
For sure.
What do you guys think? Anything stand out? Anything unexpected? Or we can look into some individual matchups for players if we want. I don't have them on the slide, but I can put them in. I can dig through the master sheet and we can talk about them.
I think it's going to be interesting. Like, I think it's going to be a good opportunity to see really if some of the quote unquote like top half coaches, because like the bottom looks like some of the bottom half schedule and does have some of the higher ranked coaches in it. Can they still try to overcome and excel? But will these in the easier half of the board, will some of these excelling coaches still have difficulties, even though the schedule says that they should have an easy time playing? It's like, will this help determine whether it's really coming down to coach, or is it coming down to luck of the dice? Like, what really is like helping determine where people are actually at the end of the day?
Yep. I was gonna say, for the bottom, the Dragons, their schedule, this shows that the lowest, but I mean, they still have to play Casa Doom week 3. That's a tough match. But I think it's mostly dictated on that they're missing the Guardians this year, and they're missing the Mighty Rats. That's probably the biggest indicator. They're not playing the Mighty Rats, so they're like, anyone that doesn't have Underheim on their schedule is going to have an easier time, based on how these strength of schedule is calculated. So, and then at the top, we've got Manhattan. I'm going to look at their schedule.
For their schedule, it's front loaded, in my opinion.
They start with Underheim.
And then they
go to Casa Doom. And then they have Ubtals week 4. And then they get the Guardians later in the season. Yeah.
So they are in their regular season playing according to these metrics, the top 4 ranked teams.
Yeah, and that makes total sense.
That's why they have a tough road ahead of them.
Yeah. But hey, at least it's not with a tier 3 team. So
that's fair.
Yeah, I think they can still perform in this environment. But we'll just have to see. All right, but enough of that. Let's talk about actual stuff instead of algorithms and guesses. This is the week 1 slate. So we have the Gloomstalker Dragonaires traveling over to the Vermin Skulkers, the Los Alamos Aliens hosting the Trolls, the Luchadors, Ubtau's Chosen Grung taking on the Matriarchs, the Manhattan Mutant Mayhem hosting the defending champions Underheim Mighty Rats, the Lizards with Attitude taking it to the Butcher's Bay Dragons, the Snooze taking a visit over to Louisiana for the match with the Mudclaws, and then our marquee matchup we'll just talk to at the end of the show, the Casa Doom Dark Iron hosting the Black Forest Guardians, in a matchup that has been electric in the past. So we'll start here with the Skulkers versus the Dragonaires. So right now the betting line is on the Skulkers, with a spread of barely a tie. So this point spread, by the way, is the amount of touchdowns over that the team is projected to score. So at 0.1, we're more leaning towards a tie, I think, than we are a victory. But it is still slated a slight Vermin Skulkers victory. As far as the analyst, Aggie agrees. He says Skulkers. Lucy says Skulkers, and Boomer actually coming in saying, no, I think it's the Dragonaires. What do you guys think? What are your predictions on the matchup? We've got Skaven versus Dark Elf. So 2 quick teams. One, I would say, a little bashier than the other. And 2 brand new coaches as well. So there's some variables here.
I think this genuinely could be like a genuine tie. Like it is.
Yeah.
Because of them, mostly not even because of, I could see Skaven or Dark Elf beating each other at the scoring game or the blocking game, especially with this Skaven team having no Rat Ogre. That really evens out the brawling potential for both teams, or at least makes it much less one-sided. But I just have not seen either of these coaches' play style and actually how they play the game, so I would really be hard for me to determine.
Well, you got to pick. What do you say?
I'm saying a tie. I'm gonna probably
all right. So we got a draw. What do you think?
It's a big old question mark. I haven't seen either of these coaches play, and my comparison to previous seasons would be week 1, the Michelin men, the Orcs, versus the Lizards with Attitude week 1. 2 new coaches, similar play styles. One's a bit faster, one's a bit tougher, and it ended in
a tie. Yep, and that's a match that is
high. Yeah, I think a tie. I think the Skulkers I think the slight edge for the Skulkers is fair because of their speed. But they're both new coaches. It's first week. A lot of excitement.
Yep.
It's probably gonna be a tie.
Yep. So we got 2 draws coming from us. I'm gonna give the slight edge to the Dragonaires. I'm gonna say the Dragonaires win this one only because with it's just the armor values, honestly. Like with a lot of newer coaches, I think a lot of newer coaches benefit, or I mean, everyone benefits from a numbers advantage, but when it comes to newer coaches, I think the benefit more leans on the side who ends up with more players at the end. It becomes an easier game to play at that point. So I think they both play very well. I'm looking forward to seeing how these 2 guys perform in their first season. But I think the armor values may cripple the Skulkers and the Dragonaires squeak one out. So I could see it being a 2-1 or a 1-0, but I think Dragonaires get a slight victory myself. But cool. So that's our first matchup. Second, we've got the Manhattan Mutant Mayhem versus the defending champs Undheim Mighty Rats. This is the biggest point spread of the night. It's got the Mighty Rats by nearly 2 touchdowns. And the analysts are all in agreement here. Everyone thinks that the Mighty Rats come home with this. What do you guys think?
This smells like a win the battle, but possibly losing the war instance for Undheim.
Yeah.
Like this, they might end up winning, but there's a good chance that a couple players are injured or dead at the end of it.
That I'm pretty confident in Undenheim's victory in this. But yeah, I think if the Chaos Chosen get a chance to really get a hold of some of those rats, they could do some serious damage. So I think Underheim's got it locked in for a win, but how much it will cost them is up in the air. That's the real number I want to see, is how much suffering is this team going to take before it inevitably wins.
Yeah. I gotta agree. I think it's Mighty Rats, and no shade on the Mayhem. It's just
absolutely not.
It's just it's gonna be rough. We've got a pretty well kitted out team against a fresh Chaos, but those rats are gonna be hard to get a hold of. I guess if we're playing spoiler, what's it take? What's it gonna take, do you think, for the Mayhem to pull out a win?
Probably some really lucky pals.
Yeah.
And just maybe some really unfortunate like ball drops from the Skaven coach if they just fail those pickups. Like I know with their 2+, but if they get roll enough ones and they just cannot get a hold of that ball, then that would definitely give Chaos a chance to actually swoop in behind and possibly like take that ball out from underneath them.
Yep,
I want to see the inducements.
Yeah, I say we are looking at 145K, yeah. So a little bit to play with, but yeah, it looks like the keys to the game for the Mayhem may just be a little bit of mayhem.
Yeah.
Very fitting.
Very fitting.
All right, so let's move right on. Next up, we have the Los Alamos Aliens versus the Luchadors. Now, this has Los Alamos at nearly a 1 touchdown advantage. However, oh, never mind. The analysts, everyone firmly agrees with that. Boomer, Lucy both think aliens, and then Aggie actually is going for the Luchadors. So this is an interesting matchup. There is a pretty sizable TV difference here. Looks like 220K is going to go to the Trolls. So there's some cash to play with. What are your all's predictions on this one?
I agree that I think I'm leaning towards Los Alamos probably winning this one just from the utility of having that Skaven piece and the Skaven and the Dark Elf scoring threats. But if those Trolls manage to start connecting punches and manage to take down the two, like start winning the war of attrition, especially if they can take down his 2 big guys that are their only real threats on strength, then he's going to have a very hard time. He can move around them comfortably, but he's going to suffer a decent amount if they start connecting hard.
I'm going to say planning for this is there's no plan because 220K isn't Morgenthorg money, but it's enough with Badlands Brawl and bribery and corruption. They can induce some stuff, and there's too many variables. So yeah, for me, not to give away the plan for my game.
Well, of course not.
Mainly survive.
Yeah.
Mainly survive and 4 touchdowns. That's how you play Blood Bowl, right?
Yep.
But yeah, it's. I think a toss-up's fair. I respect this coach. They beat me last season when they were playing their Savage Orcs when I was Los Alamos. It was a good match. It was nearly a tie. I'm hoping to get some revenge on that one, but we'll see.
There you go.
My prediction is I'm going to win because
all right.
I have to do that. You don't bet against yourself.
I like the confidence. Yeah, no, I think tier 3, it's scary, but it's ultimately eventually beatable. Barring some terrible luck. So I think you get off to a good start here with a win. But there's always that upset potential with tier 3. So I'm saying aliens, but like I would not be surprised if those pieces start to disappear for you. But as long as you have your Skaven and your Dark Elf and your agility and your scoring pieces, I think you handle it. Because you've got big guys of your own. You don't have as many, but you've got a little bit of a punch back. So it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to this one. All right. Next up, we've got the Lizzes with Attitude versus the Butcher's Bay Dragons. So the redrafted Lizardmen taking it to the fresh Dark Elves. The betting line is at Butcher's Bay Dragons by a little more than a touchdown, 0.69. Nice. And the analysts think Dragons all the way. What do you guys think?
Go ahead. Yeah.
I think it's just we have a more established and stronger redraft Lizard team, but going against a fresh team led by arguably one of the best coaches in the game in our league. So it is just going to be. I would still agree with these analysts. I would still probably put on the Dragons, but these Lizards, If they start connecting well on that line and they can really control those Dark Elf linemen and just not give him openings that he needs to get around and not give him advantageous opportunities to stab, then I think they could shut out the Dragons as well. It just all depends on how that Lizard coach plays it, but I would still lean towards the Dragons personally.
Yeah. They've also have some cash to play with too.
Yes, this is true. Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
225.
I don't know the inducement game for elves. I know there's a handful of really strong players, but
it's.
I'm gonna throw my hat in now. I'm gonna give it to Liz's.
All right.
Sorry, Coach.
Hey, I mean,
I'm saying that. I'm saying that because they have 2 rerolls, they have skilled up sources, and they have higher speed. They do.
Yep.
So as long as they do some good ball handling and security, they just get an opening and score. They can outbash them.
Right.
The Witch Elves, that Witch Elf's going to have a hard time getting a good frenzy off without a bunch of assists. So positioning is going to be key. I just don't know what the inducement game is. So I guess if there's a really strong inducement star or just taking an extra reroll or what have you, that really tips it the other way. But I think the Lizards can do it. I have confidence they've gotten better. So
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm with you on this. I think it just when you look at the matchup, I think I'm gonna go with Liz's. Because Dark Elf's a great team. It's an excellent tier 1 team, but at 975 TV, they're just lacking a lot of things, right? What Dark Elf does the best is add a little bit of combat in with their elf shenanigans. They suffer from this by being a slower movement team than the other elf team. Like that's what you sacrifice to get a little bit more combat potential. But against a team like Liz with attitude, you just don't win on any side of the ball. You're weaker as it stands. You don't have as much strength. You don't have any higher strength, right? Whereas you're facing, 6 Sauruses and a Croxagore, and then the Skinks can outrun your agility players. So I think it could go to the Lizas just from a matchup standpoint. But nothing's guaranteed, right? So I mean, anything can happen in Blood Bowl.
Any given Wednesday,
I trust the skill of the Dragons, but if I'm looking at the matchups, I think I would prefer the Liz's here. But that we'll have to see. All right, next up, the Ubtau's Chosen Grung versus the New England Matriarchs. So this is another close match. Ubtau is favored by 0.17. So all the analysts there look to say that the Grung are going to do it. They've seen enough out of them last season, it appears, to say that they're gonna come back and continue their win streak. What about you guys? So we've got a redraft Slan versus a fresh Amazon. Both coaches with experience.
That is.
This is 260 inducement. Am I reading that right?
Oh yeah. So you're looking at that's
60.
That's a good point. Yeah, there's a fair bit of cash for Amazons.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
That's a lot of cash.
How much is dribble and droll?
I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't want to get too much into the inducement game to I don't want to give any advice to the coaches. I mean, this will go up on the day of the matches, so it's not a massive deal. But yeah, I just don't want to try to give advice. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there are definitely a lot of options at 260. And I believe the access for Amazons is pretty good.
Yeah, this is going to be a very, very interesting match that I think both coaches are going to be very quickly shifting around each other, taking advantageous blocks where they can, but basically both teams in some form or fashion are designed to shift around each other, and they're just going to be slipping in and out of each other, scoring, then kicking off, the other person does the same thing, either dodging past or jumping over. So I could see this potentially ending with a tie, but a very high scoring tie, like
Yeah.
a 4-4 or something crazy like that.
Insane.
Like,
I would say
know.
more. I could see a 2-2. But yeah.
I actually agree a bit with that one. I think these two coaches are very pass happy.
Yeah.
The Grung were apparently very pass happy last season, despite having an awful passing game stat wise.
Yeah.
I could see this game ending in a tie or maybe an interception at some point because both these coaches are willing to go all out to try and score.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. I think not going over any specific inducements, I think that'll help, but you have the brothers, Titsa and Timothy. That's tough. That's tough to beat.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. I would give the lean to the playoff coach of the year, but I could see this being in a high scoring tie, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like ties, so I'm never gonna pick tie. I'm gonna say it goes. Man, this isn't. I'm gonna say it goes to the Grung.
If it goes to one side or the other, it's gonna be tight.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm looking at the rosters and I want to change my mind.
If you have to twist my arm, I would say the Grung as well because Croxagore.
I don't have to twist your arm. You can pick tie. I just don't. I just never choose tie.
No. I think a tie is likely. I think if you had to pick one, though, I think the Grung because. Yeah.
I probably would go Krung as well by one touchdown.
Yeah, I think this will be the closest to. This will be like the greatest show on turf of Blood Bowl. Like it's gonna be insane.
Yeah.
This is like, God, it's like fucking the Chiefs Bengals game. just
down to the wire.
Just two quarterbacks fucking slinging it and scoring, and like
we don't have overtime in the regular season, sadly.
No, we don't. So.
Oh
yeah. So this will be a fun one to watch. This was honestly one that I wanted to see on stream, probably more than the one we will see on stream. But there's reasons to the stream match, which we'll get into. But yeah, I'm going Uptown for that one. All right, the SC LSU Mudclaws going against the Amazonian Snoo. The line is set to the Mudclaws at 0.15 of a touchdown. So looking like we may end up with another tie here. The analysts, Aggie and Lucy, they are leaning Mudclaws, and Boomer thinks the returning Season 2 coach can get it done against a new coach. Pretty close in TV. We don't have a swing because there's not a redrafted team on the list here. Only 30K, so we're looking at not much. But what do you guys think? Lizards versus Amazons. I
think the Lizards can do it. I would just heed caution to the coach of the Snoo because their Wood Elf team, when they did play, was one of the deadliest. And I expect they're going to be aggressive more than you would expect. And with them going Crocs and 4, they just got to be careful. Their skinks are going to get targeted. I expect a lot of blocking to be thrown around more than expected.
Oh yeah.
I can definitely see something going if the Amazonian coach goes in too hard, too aggressive against a line of sources and a Croxagore, that could end very, very badly. So if they play a bit more defensive and like play ball scoring, I could see them pulling out this win. But I mean, you also got the Lizardmen Skinks waiting in that back line, probably to try to pick off any Amazonians that come through. So it could be it's going to be an interesting match for sure.
Yep. Yeah, it's a good old Lustrian showdown. Yeah, I think we're looking at fresh Amazons versus fresh Lizardmen. I think the advantage, you do have the Crocs, so I think the advantage slightly goes towards the Mudclaws here. That's my guess.
I agree.
The Prehensile Tail, if used correctly, I think can shut down some of these Zons. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Very true.
Yeah. And then our last matchup of the night, and the matchup that you can see right here on Cabal Vision North on 9/11, or if you want to check into the stream, you can catch this one live. I guess it will be today by the time this goes up, 9/4. But we've got the Cause of Doom Dark Iron versus the Black Forest Guardians. Me versus you, buddy.
I know, right?
The line is set at 1.1 to the Guardians. Expected to do a touchdown over. However, Aggie has faith in you. He says Dark Iron's going to win. The others are on the Guardian side. Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting matchup. We've got a redraft. However, only 90K difference, so not much of a TV spread here. However, you're rolling 5 guard and 1 mighty blow, and I'm rolling a fresh bag of sturdy elves.
Yep. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting match, just from the fact that I'm going to have to try to abuse a bunch of people that are like being abused. They are sturdy boys. I'm a dwarf team. I am used to going against my squishy little elf friends and ripping them in half. I cannot do that very well against this elf team. So
you literally bring an axe because you're chopping trees.
Yeah. So, and no secret weapons, unfortunately. No death roller. I did not pack my death roller this time. So, but yes, it's gonna be. I could see this match very easily ending in a tie, or more likely is probably going to end in a one point either side victory.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be a very, very contentious, like very methodically shifting up the field and just trying to get into an advantageous position to make a break for it and score with our crazy high movement of 5.
Yep. I mean, very similar if you on paper. I mean, the movement is comparable, the armor is comparable, and the strength is even across the board. It's just that edge that's a bit different. Your access is a little different. Yeah, this will be an interesting one. I have no idea, but I do know it will be a trudging through the mud kind of match. Just getting in and positioning and blocking, and unless the dice go crazy, not a lot of removal. I would I don't know. But
no matter
the impartial, what's up?
I was gonna say I don't want to interrupt too much, but no matter what I say, it's gonna be bulletin board material for either of you. So I'm just gonna give you some material. All right.
All right. Let's hear it.
So I think this 1 score difference is a bit accurate, but I think that if the Dark Iron can get the removals they need, this is gonna be all about positioning, right?
Oh yeah.
For both of you. So I think the fact that, and I don't think we talked about it just yet. I think the fact that we're getting this as our stream match, it's going to be a chess match from hell. Right?
Yeah.
This might be it could be a 0-0 draw for all we know.
Very well.
It just very well could be.
Very well.
I would give the slight lean to the Guardians only because of that catcher, that passing game, that very odd passing game.
Yeah.
But the Dark Iron, we've seen the meat grinder in action. I think there's just a lot of variables for any game, but the positioning is going to be so key on this. So best of luck to both of you.
Yep.
And
then,
if I wasn't playing, I'd be watching. So
yeah,
this would be a good one.
And then for context for the audience, the reason that this is the marquee matchup for this week is because we both have been in the league since the very beginning. We have had many postseason matches. This is we played in the finals against each other, season 2. And I came out with a win there against this very same Casa Doom team. And then last season, we saw each other again in postseason. He was playing a Snotling team, and I was playing my Norse team that won season 2, defending the title. And I took a loss in the playoffs there. So we have always clashed in the postseason. It's 1-1 right now between the two. Our games are always freaking insane. So I just expect more of that this time around. So that's the reason.
Yeah.
There's a lot of history with this one. Yeah. So it'll be cool. And that is where we end the show pretty much. So any final thoughts or anything you guys want to say before we close it out? I didn't realize it was going to be an hour and a half. I was thinking we could get through it in a half hour, but I like to yap, right? So
yeah, podcasts are long.
Well, yeah, but it's more of I mean, it's Wartscenter, right? I wanted it to be, like a show to catch up. So
introductory.
This is
like the premiere issue.
We're talking about the entire league.
The following will probably be much shorter, because it'll be.
Oh yeah, the next one will be shorter.
What you can expect next time is a recap of the results of all the matches. We'll go into all of the player advancements that happened throughout the last week, and then hiring, firing, deaths. We'll have a little obituary section for that. And then we'll go into the matchups like we did here today for week 2. And then I think it'll go a lot quicker from here on out. But for the season primer, we got to get in depth with all these teams, all these coaches. And we got a lot of freaking coaches. The league is getting huge. So
yeah,
it's going to be big next year too, or next season. Good luck to all the coaches this season.
Yeah.
Seriously. It's going to be a good one.
Yep. Best of luck to all the coaches. And if you're low on this ranking board, that's bulletin board material. Don't take it personally. Use it to use it for your tackling fuel. And transparency. It's all done with like algorithms and stuff. We're not choosing this shit. We're not doing it to slight anybody. It's just an algorithm based on past results that I built in Excel. So, but yeah, I've got nothing else. Anything else before we send it away? All right. Well,
I think you'll be ready for a new fun season, boys.
Yep. All right. Yep. Well, this has been Wartscenter. We'll catch you either later today on Twitch for the game, or next week, and then in 2 weeks time for another episode of Wartscenter. Thanks everyone. Bye.